So good evening and welcome to the
Not yet.
Oh, I think we are. It says live on mine. Good evening and welcome to the Macclesfield Town Council Finance Committee. Due to the coronavirus COVID-19 restrictions and in line with the local authorities and police and crime panels flexibility, this meeting will be held remotely, broadcast on youtube.com and can be viewed on the Macclesfield Town Council youtube.com channel. So looking forward to lots of viewers for this evening's meeting. And this is the agenda for the meeting. So very quickly, I'd just like to thank the people of Macclesfield for understanding the rules of lockdown and working well together to help each other. And I think that it's good to see the Mayor here today. We're following the Mayor's agenda of being kind to one another and supportive in this difficult time. So anyway, over to item 1, the election of Chair and Vice Chair. Councillor Wilson.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Councillor Putik as our chair.
Councillor Bennett-Wake.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Councillor Wilson as Vice Chair.
Thank you very much. Do you have a seconder? Councillor Hutchison, thank you very much. Okay, so if we take that to a vote for the first one, for electing the chair, 1.1. Okay, all in favour? Thank you very much. Try not to sound too threatening there when I said that. Thank you very much. And it's a real honour to be elected again. And item 1.2. All in favour? If you can raise your hands. Thank you. Any against? Okay, any abstain? Okay, thank you very much. And congratulations, Councillor Wilson, on being elected as the Vice Chair. Okay. So we're going to go to item 2, apologies for absence. So to the Town Clerk.
There are no apologies for absence.
Thank you very much. And item 3, declarations of interest. Okay, do we have any? So I'm just going to, so I myself, for item 7.9, before lockdown, I applied to Healthbox for a slow cooker initiative for my area, so I'll declare that. And 8.1, I'm a member of Scoop and Scales and contribute to their work. Any other declarations, Councillor Wilcock?
Thanks, sir. So I've got a non-pecuniary interest in 7.41, although this meeting I do believe is just to authorise payment of grants from last year's Finance Committee. I think it was the November or December committee meeting. So I'm a volunteer at WAM.
Thank you very much. That's noted. Councillor Mayor, may I say?
Madam Mayor, I'm also a member of Scoop and Scales just to do my shopping.
Okay. I suspect quite a lot of people are as well. Okay, so we're going to go over to public questions and the meeting will be adjourned to invite comments and questions from the public. And Laura?
Hi, we've got one public speaker, which is Avril Goodyear from the Disability Information Bureau, who's actually got a grant application in tonight. So she's come along to explain her grant application. So Avril, you'll have 3 minutes from unmuting to explain your grant. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Avril Goodyear from Disability Information Bureau. We put a grant through, or an application through, at the beginning of October, and it's to a project that we've put together called In the Know, What we're trying to do is include and get people inclusive that are digitally, because obviously everything at the moment is all digital. You know, all the meetings that we're holding is digital. But one of the things that there are so many people that have got, they're disabled, there's elderly, there's people that suffer with isolation and mental health. And it's so important that they know their own device and know what they can and they can't do with it. And one of the things is it's not always about having laptops, but we want to have 4 laptops to try to show them what they can and what they can't do online. For example, prescriptions, if they want to order online prescriptions, if they want to book an appointment online and have consultation. There's a lot of things that people are not able to do because they don't know how to do it. But then we're trying to move that forward to show them what other adaptive technology or what other devices they can use to enable them to become more digitally inclusive. And that this is the reason why we've put forward to see if we can get more laptops to start getting people in on workshops.
Thank you very much, Avril.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Avril, you can leave the meeting now and follow us live on YouTube. Thank you for attending.
Thanks for your time, Avril. So we're going to go back into item 4, the minutes of the meeting of the Finance Committee on the 14th of September, to approve the minutes as a true record of the meeting. Councillor Wilson.
Yes, I move the minutes as a true record of the meeting, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Wilcock. Okay, all in favour? Okay. And any against? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. Okay, so over to item 5, matters arising from the minutes. And to note feedback. Okay, is that just for noting, Laura?
Yes, this is just for noting because it comes up late on the agenda.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Okay, so item 6, the reviewing the terms of reference. 6.1, to review and agree the Finance Committee terms of reference. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you very much, Chair. As this is our AGM, or our first meeting since the full council AGM, it's customary for us to review our terms of reference. There are 2 small amendments to put to the committee, which will then need to be recommended to full council at our meeting in December. They're both very straightforward. Well, actually, there's 3 to be fair. We're changing the terms of reference in November 2020, so the date needs to be changed from October 2018 to November 2020. On page 2 of the terms of reference, about grant approvals, as a result of us adopting the NALC governance documents, committees are now able to approve grants up to £10,000. So that figure of £5,000 at point 3.2 needs to be increased from £5,000 to £10,000. And then the final amendment at point 9, it refers to the chairman, and we did agree at council when we reviewed our governance documents that we would change all references in our terms of reference and any other governance documents where they referred to chairman or he, or we would change those to be gender neutral. So this needs to be changed to chair. That's it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wilson. Do you have a proposal, or do we to?
Yes, I propose that those 3 amendments be agreed by this committee and submitted to full council in December for approval.
Very good. So do we have a seconder? Councillor Hutchison. Okay, all in favour? Thank you. Any against? Oh, that's yeah, unanimous. Thank you very much. So we're going to go to item 7, grant applications. Item 7.1, Spark. Okay, Councillor Wilson.
Yes, this is an application from the Friends of South Park a number of, and certainly the chair and myself do attend Spark meetings as part of our councillor duties. So perhaps a little bit late in the day, I will declare an interest, because as a Macclesfield town councillor for South Ward, I do attend the Spark meetings. So it's a non-pecuniary interest. But they are requesting a £250 grant to go towards recovering the cost of account submission and insurance. Spark usually organise a whole series of events in the park, which raise funds for them and also for many charitable causes. Of course, we haven't been able to do that this year. One of the key things that we were going to have in South Park, of course, was the VE Day celebrations that a lot of work went into organising, but sadly those couldn't take place in the park. So we organised a very successful, well, Helena and others worked together to organise a very successful virtual VE Day, online VE Day celebrations. But I move, Chair, that we agree the £250 grant to support Spark.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder? Madam Mayor?
Yes, I think that's fair enough. I think we should help people out who help us out, and I think that's a kind gesture.
Very good. Okay, all in favour? Thank you very much. Okay, that's unanimous. 7.2, the Silk Life Food Bank. Do you have any speakers? Madam Mayor?
I think this is a brilliant idea. It fits in with our policies on sustainability and being a green environment, using recyclable bags and so on. And I think it also saves money in the long run. And I think the food banks, both the food banks in Macclesfield, do a fantastic job. And this is a really good idea.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you have any other speakers? Councillor Wilson?
Yes, thanks, Chair. I think that it's an excellent idea to move towards Macclesfield being plastic free, and it's certainly part of our initiative as a council and part of our environmentally friendly policy. The grant requested is for £2,000, but I think that it will be useful for a bit more information about this application. I think that there isn't any costings contained in the application about, how much the bags are or how many have to be purchased for £2,000. I understand that what Silk Life are doing is producing a pilot for a reusable system and to provide a cloth bag. Understand anecdotally, although it's not in the application, that it's provide cloth bags to clients to collect their food supplies. But there are no costings in the document about what the actual £2,000 works out to. So I think this is an excellent project, but I think we do need a bit more information. So I do support this, but I think in order to be fair to all applicants, we do need further and better particulars. And so I would like to move that we support this application, and subject to receiving more detailed costings, that the committee leave it in the hands of the chair and the vice chair of the committee, that will be Councillor Puttick and myself, to agree the grant application on behalf of the committee, provided we can be satisfied about the details of the spend and how many bags are being purchased, what the shelf life is, issues about reusability. I think it's really important that we do get rid of any plastic. We have a plastic-free Macclesfield, but cloth bags will also carry issues about cleaning them. How they have to be washed. There's a COVID situation here as well, so we just want to satisfy ourselves with those few points. So that's what I move, Chair, that we agree, subject to satisfaction on the questions I've raised, and then if we are satisfied, the chair and vice chair will agree the grant. That will make sure it can be paid quickly rather than wait until our next finance committee meeting, which isn't actually until March. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. I would just quickly like to, I'd like to second the what she's mentioned about there, and I'd like to say I'm very impressed with the idea of an initiative for people on low incomes leading a pilot for a reusable system, so that we can work towards Macclesfield being completely plastic free. And I think there's real opportunity if we do this right, that we can, this is something that could work across the whole town centre and be a real success. But we have experts, we have people who can help advise, and I also think that this is something that the council should get behind, to working with the identity of the town centre and our ethos for the future. So so I'm going to second that, if that's okay, with everybody. And Councillor Harewood. Sorry, Councillor Harewood, I can't take your microphone.
I don't know if I missed it. Do we know who is supplying these bags? Who is the supplier?
Helena?
At the moment, they do have a partnership with Sainsbury's, who've agreed to support them on this. So that will be something they'll be looking into. Is having the bags provided by Sainsbury's.
Thank you, Helena. Okay. Very good. Councillor Wilson.
Yes, I think that confirmation of all of these facts is something that we need to obtain, because certainly depending on how the bags are produced, it will be very important, I think, as we're making a £2,000 grant to be applied to the town council as well, which is part of the grant requirement. That if we make a grant, that we do expect there to be recognition that the town council has supported that grant. So I think perhaps we need to also, the question out in the list of questions we had, I think we need to add about the branding on the bags as well.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wilson. I too, just to remind the committee of our commitment to, where we can, procure locally and make sure that we use local suppliers and we support local businesses. Obviously, it goes without saying that you're working towards taking action against the climate emergency, being environmentally friendly. Of course, that goes without saying. And as Councillor Wilson has said about branding and the identity of the town, it being something that I believe that the applicants are interested in anyway, about developing a whole town system. So potentially very exciting if we can work together on that. Councillor Wilson,
can I ask, in addition to the other information we require, can we find out from whether Sainsbury's are paying for the bags or paying something towards the bags? There's no mention in the application, Chair, that there's any sponsorship from Sainsbury's, and if they are sponsoring it, that might be them providing the bags. So I'd just like to know, who's paying for the bags, and if not, could be, a bit more information about who's paying for it and who's providing them. Okay,
so Councillor Wilson has a proposal, and you've added those addendums onto it. So we'll move to a vote. All in favour, please. Thank you very much. Councillor Harewood. Oh.
I'm sorry, before we go to the vote, are we saying we will give the money when we get all these other informations, or now? Will we wait until we get the other information?
Councillor Wilson, if you'd like to respond.
Yeah, what I've moved, Councillor Harewood, is that we need more. We support this project. It meets a number of our objectives, and we do want to support it.
Yes, but
we
I just want to know what happens first or what happens second.
Yeah, I'm just about to say. So what we want to do is we want to get further information, so that provided that Neil and I are satisfied, we get questions to those answers, it can be agreed by the chair and the vice chair of the committee.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we just item 7.3, the Disability Information Bureau. Avril Goodyear spoke before on this item. Okay, do we have any speakers? Councillor Wilcock.
Thanks, Chair. Just noting the grant application for laptops for the Disability Information Bureau. Obviously, digital inclusion or digital exclusion is something that is going on at the moment. As Avril did mention, there are a lot of people in society at the moment that are potentially going to struggle as more and more things go online. As she's mentioned, there are prescriptions. It is notable that the elderly generation require the prescriptions more. Obviously, doctor's appointments, they're going digital. So I think it's a good idea that as much as possible, people with disabilities as well would have the opportunity to be able to use the equipment to be able to upskill themselves. And it's not just for the benefit of booking an appointment or getting a prescription. It's more the fact of they'd be able to upskill themselves and feel proud that they've been able to achieve something in relation to getting online and learning about what is out there, and to try and get more news from themselves. So I think it's a good idea that we look to potentially support this grant application.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wilcock. Any other speakers? Madam Mayor.
Yeah, I'll second that. It's come up in our meetings with a variety of charity groups and groups that support the vulnerable in Macclesfield, people with disabilities and so on. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. Just thinking about my own family, people struggle online. So that this is a brilliant idea. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wilson.
Yes, thanks, Chair. I also want to add my support to agreeing this grant. I think one of the things that's come across loud and clear during the COVID crisis is how many people are digitally excluded by not having access to the internet or social media. And whilst it doesn't change in any way the importance that we have to take on as a town council to make sure we do get through to everybody in our society, particularly about safety in the town centre and COVID, it's come up as part of our town centre recovery working group discussions, how important it is that people get information about which shops are open, what's happening in the town centre, and we have our policy and we'll be making every attempt to communicate with people other than by digital. But this project really does contribute to particularly a group of people who are excluded. And so I think it's an excellent idea. I see there's funding been obtained from other organisations as well. So it's good that we can actually add our town council support to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wilson. I'd like to echo what councillors previously were saying, and also just to note that the DIB are in a great position to actually understand the equipment, any extra equipment that might be needed, any adjustments that may be needed for equipment, and of course some of the fantastic initiatives they've got with such as with New Leaf, creating opportunities for people. It's really worthwhile. So we're going to take that to the vote then. So the original proposal from Councillor Wilcock with a seconder from Madam Mayor. All in favour? Thank you very much. Okay. Item 7.4. Okay, do we have a speaker on that? Laura?
Hello, this was last year WAM put a proposal in for the night shelter, which I'm sure you're all aware of. It was minuted that this would be given every year of £2,000, subject to coming back to the Finance Committee and you ratifying it again. And I know Councillor Wilcox, I don't know if you want to add a bit more about what they do, because I know you've declared an interest, but just to explain to everybody.
Yeah, so just to summarise, the night shelter was set up, I don't know how many years ago, it was quite a while ago now, to support the male population in the town that are sleeping rough. Cheshire's Council have got an obligation to rehouse or to provide emergency shelter for females and juveniles. So the night shelter is organised by church community. I think Hope in North East Cheshire, they're spearheading it. So the night shelter was moving around different churches from Friday evening to Monday morning to provide emergency kind of accommodation during the winter months. I am aware that the night shelter is looking to move into new premises. So they're looking at the Old Revolution Bar to be a central point in the town. So I do believe that there is some works that need to be done to get that into a habitable state. So it's just to put our back into the night shelter to say we're here, we want to help provide the emergency accommodation to try and alleviate people from potentially dying on the streets over the winter.
Thank you, Councillor Wilcock. Any other speakers? Madam Mayor?
Yeah, just basically the reason I become a councillor was seeing people sleeping rough in the town centre, and you know, quite a reasonably it was reasonably affluent town centre like Macclesfield, and it's a disgrace that anyone should be sleeping rough, and we do need to look after everybody. So it's just my spirit. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I would just echo what the councillor said before, seeing the great work going on. Does anyone have a proposal? Councillor Harewood, if you could take your microphone.
I am choked to think that people are sleeping rough. It's more than what I became a councillor for. It is a personal experience, and I can't think of anything more than people should never be speaking rough. I am honoured to propose it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Harewood. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Wilson? Okay, so we're going to take that to a vote. All in favour? Okay, Councillor Wilcock. Oh, sorry. Okay. Thank you very much.
Just note an abstention on that, so obviously with the interest.
Of course, brilliant. Item 7.5, the Hope Centre. We've got some fantastic organisations already across our agenda. Councillor Wilson.
Yes, I think our entire meeting is taken up with looking at the organisations who've done their very level best to help out the people of Macclesfield and the most vulnerable and disadvantaged already, but made even more so by the COVID crisis. The Hope Centre, I think we're all familiar with in terms of the work that they do. And this grant is to go towards having a new kitchen at the Hope Centre. They were using St. Peter's Church. And they did during lockdown produce over 4,000 meals. So a new kitchen at the Hope Centre would enable them to provide both the meal service and cooking lessons to offer cooking lessons to develop the service, because often with people who are struggling to find the source of food, often it's putting together meals that can be nutritious. With the food that's available from places like the Create Grocery. And I know myself and Madam Mayor did attend when we were last allowed out. Myself and the Madam Mayor did attend the Hope, the meals they make with donated food, and we spoke. Well, they came to speak to Madam Mayor, of course, but I was there listening to the conversation, and the chefs were talking to us about how they design the menus, and how they want to support people to design their own menus from food that's available from groceries and also from food banks. I think this is an excellent application, which I'm very happy to both support and move the proposal that we donate grant £2,000 to the Hope Centre, and this is to go to, there's £14,270 cost here, and they have been able to secure funding from other organisations, including Cheshire East, and so I so move that we make this grant of £2,000.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Madam Mayor, if you want to say something.
Yeah, I'll just second that. The food was delicious. And it's great being able to teach people to be able to cook from scratch and rustle up a meal from whatever you've got on your food cupboard. And I think that's a skill probably our grandmothers and perhaps some of our grandfathers had. And it's brilliant that the Hope are passing those skills on. I particularly like their focus is to respond to human need by acts of loving kindness. So this totally fits in with my theme too. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And I don't know whether I should declare it as an interest, but I donated my big jar of jerk seasoning to the Hope Centre, and it was delicious. It was great. I actually missed that, but I've tasted it in a few of the meals they made. So right, so we have a proposal. Do we? So all in favour, please raise your hands. Thank you very much. That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go to item 7.6, Calvary Church on Meerbrook Road. Okay, do we have any speakers? Councillor Wilson.
Yes, another one of the organisations who stepped up to the plate during the still are stepping up to the plate in the COVID crisis. Calvary Church, again, one of the ward organisations that we gave an immediate support grant to when COVID first hit us. They are also wanting to continue to provide home cooked meals to vulnerable people, including those who are shielding and who've just come out of hospital. So again, it's a very similar grant request and service provided to the people of Macclesfield, this time by Calvary on the Western Estate in Macclesfield. We have seen we've seen evidence of their safer food handling certificates and all the appropriate food hygiene certificates, which I think is really important in a situation like this. I know that the Green and the Cafe in the Green at Hurstfield have done the same. You know, if organisations are providing food, they need to also have the appropriate food certification in place, etc. I think Calvary are a tried and tested organisation who've given great support to the community already, and again want to continue our support to them to provide hot meals to the residents on the Western Estate.
Councillor Hutchison.
Yeah, I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank all at Calvary Church for the work that they've been doing and will continue to do. It's a fantastic service for the people in the ward, and it's a great example to everybody in Macclesfield. So, you know, great thanks to them for the work.
Councillor Harewood.
To add that I've been familiar with the Calvary Church for over 20 years, so maybe I had a personal knowledge and interest of it. So this church had dedicated itself to that sort of humanitarian need pre-COVID, a long, long time. And I guess they will continue that. That's one of the raison d'etre of that church. So I heartily support it. I have known that church for decades, so I would like to agree with that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Harewood. Do we have any other speakers? Okay, Madam Mayor.
Sorry, I know I don't have to speak on everything, but I'm new to this committee. Just to say, the Calvary was one of the places that I visited during the summer when we could go out and meet people, and they do an absolute tremendous job there. It's a lovely atmosphere. They're training people up who wouldn't normally get that type of training as well. So, you know, they're totally at the heart of the community, and it's everything that we're about. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And of course, whilst anyone on YouTube, after you've watched this meeting, there's also a brilliant video of some of the amazing organisations in the town that that did so much to help us during the COVID lockdown crisis. And whilst Helena's here in the meeting, also just to thank her for organising that. And just to say that was something that was suggested by residents from across Macclesfield. So it's the sort of thing that people can input into. And the section on Calvary Church and some of the other organisations is fantastic. So I just encourage you to watch that video after this one. So I'm just from behind now. So should we take it to the votes? Okay, all in favour? Thank you very much again. So unanimous. Okay, that takes us to 7.7, Cheshire Fire and Rescue Prince's Trust. Do I have a speaker? Helena, thank you for saving me there.
That's okay. I just really wanted to say that the Prince's Trust team for Macclesfield are applying for funding for a £250 grant, which will go towards a project, their community project. So they start a 12-week programme in January, and they'll run for 12 weeks. And then at the end of that, they have to deliver a community project. It can be anything from revamping a school garden to painting the rugby club's changing rooms, something that's really invested in the community. And that project is totally at the discretion of the young people involved. So they choose it, so they're completely invested in it, and they plan it. And it's something that I've worked with them on for a number of years now, and it's always well received by the community. So yeah, that's what the application is, and that's why there is no detail on what it is, because it hasn't been decided yet until the young people start in January.
Thank you. Councillor Hutchison.
Yeah, I'm very happy to support anything to do with education, having been a teacher in Macclesfield for over 35 years, I think. Yeah, it's great to give the chance. You know, lots of people face different personal challenges, and this is a great service. I've heard absolutely fantastic comments coming back about this service, and I look forward to supporting it.
Thank you, sir. Okay, and Madam Mayor.
Yeah, also as someone who works in a school, I think it's brilliant. If you give young people the chance, they will create good things. And there's so much more than that £250 there that's been invested in that. It's time, effort, it's thought, it's creativity, and it's also learning about enterprise. So there's so much in there for £250. It's value for money.
Absolutely, and I'm just going to echo what the councillors have just said, especially in terms of the fact that this council is committed to helping young people in Macclesfield find opportunities to succeed. And I think you'll hear a little bit more about the how we're plugging into the Kickstart initiatives from central government and other ways that we can give young people opportunities to do great things. So if we could have a proposer, please. Thank you, Councillor Wilson.
Yes, I propose that we agree the £250 grant requested, Chair.
Thank you very much. Do we have a second? Is it Councillor Hutchison? Thank you.
Second.
Okay, so we'll take that to the vote then. All in favour? Thank you very much. Unanimous again. Okay, wonderful. Okay, item 7.8, East Cheshire Hospice Christmas Tree Collection. Thank you very much. Do we have a proposal? Sorry, do we have any comments? Thank you, Councillor Wilcock.
Hi, thanks for that, Chair. So just a bit of background. Personally, we use in this household a fake Christmas tree, but I've always been admired by, I've always admired the drive that the East Cheshire Hospice have done year on year for many years now to go around collecting the Christmas trees, the real Christmas trees, and put that to good use. I'm not too sure what they do with the Christmas trees, but for people to put a donation out with the trees that goes directly to the East Cheshire Hospice, I think it's one of the biggest fundraisers they do each year. I do know that obviously this year has been a terrible time for many charities, including the East Cheshire Hospice within the town for fundraising. I spotted on social media that they were looking at doing a firewalk, which unfortunately had to be curtailed because it was about 3 days after the second lockdown. So I do know that they are going to be struggling for funding. I did have the idea personally to go and help out collecting Christmas trees, just to say that we as the Macclesfield Town Council are fully behind you. But unfortunately, due to the COVID restrictions, they're not looking at any new volunteers for this coming year. I think the £2,000 that the East Cheshire Hospice are looking at just goes a small way to say for van sponsorships to help with toilets or the other bits and bobs. It's a good way to say that we're fully behind the work that they do. And it's not just for the people of Macclesfield, but it's the wider community as well.
Thank you, Councillor Wilcock. Do you have any further comments, Councillor Hutchison?
Yeah, despite being turned down as a volunteer to collect the Christmas trees this year, I would still love to support this.
Councillor Bennett-Wake?
Yeah, we do get a real tree, and Cheshire East Hospice come and collect it every year without fail on the right day. They manage to go around the back, they do it all right, and it's recycled into like wood chipping for the gardens and so on. So it's recycled. It's a natural product and it's an absolutely brilliant charity. And you have to think they've gone over and above this year with COVID. They've not looked after people who are very ill, sometimes in the last days, but they've had to cope with COVID as well, plus the impact on their funding. So I think it's a very much deserved grant. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bennett-Wake. Okay, do we have a proposal? Councillor Wilcock.
Yeah, I'd just like to propose that we approve the grant for the £2,000 for the East Cheshire Hospice.
Thank you very much. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Hutchison, thank you very much. All in favour? Very good, unanimous. Thank you very much. So that leads us on to 7.9 from Healthbox. Councillor Wilson.
Yes, thanks very much indeed. I do have just some questions about this application from Healthbox. They're requesting funding for a winter warmth project to provide 500 to 700 reheatable and nutritious meals for vulnerable families in Macclesfield. It's not a service that I was aware they've provided in the past. And ordinarily with applications of this sort, we do receive some reassurance that we've seen food hygiene certificates, that the kitchens are appropriate for food cooking. We've agreed this evening a couple of grant applications. We've agreed £2,000 for the Hope Centre, who are providing this sort of facility. We've agreed £1,000 for the Calvary Church, who are providing this sort of facility. And I'm also aware that our mayor is very much involved in Herdsfield and the Green in the Corner about their hot meal service and the work that they've done. But I wasn't aware of Healthbox and their meal provision. And going through the application, it talks about that they're aware of, it talks about there's a clear need and demand for such service to be delivered. There's no replication of service. No other providers are offering a similar design scheme or outcomes. The only current schemes available offer cold convenience style food. But that's not my experience or understanding, and certainly this evening we've talked about a number of organisations who are providing hot food. I mean, I work with Healthbox in the Moss Rose Partnership, and the services that Healthbox, which is a part of Cheshire East, generally provide is more in terms of all the support in the community, etc. So I think it may be that town hall staff are aware of a bit more information about this, but certainly what I would like to know is whether Healthbox have looked to work with other similar organisations. I mean, they're requesting £1,820, and the total project cost is 3,376. and they applied for another grant, other local authority grant, but it doesn't say which local authority. Do we have any more information about that? Because I'm particularly keen with applications like this to know where the kitchen is and what the food hygiene certificates are, just so we can be certain that those sort of things are all attended to. Safety is very, food safety is very important.
Helena, I know you had your hand up there.
Thank you. Just to say that we don't have any more information on the premises that they would be using. I have flagged to Healthbox that we have received a similar application, very similar application from Calvary Church, and which they weren't aware of. So they have said that depending on the outcome of the applications tonight, they would be willing to enter into conversations with Calvary about delivery of a community project.
Okay, thank you. Just quickly, Laura, did you have your hand up as well?
Yes, I was just going to say just what Helena said. There is no more information on which premises they would use, and it states that they will help vulnerable families in Macclesfield, but it doesn't give a clear target of an area as well. So I think there's a few bits of information that we could potentially try and get.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson, I know you had your hand up.
Well, I was going to move something, but if anybody else wants to speak first, I don't want to. I think we need more information. But I think Councillor Bennett-Waite would like to speak. But I think we need more information before we can agree this, because we've already got excellent services in place. So,
Madam Mayor.
Yeah, I just think we do need more information, because even some of the expenditure, for example, on PPE, risk assessment equipment and so on, seems a little expensive. We got the PPE at the Green in the Corner from the town council. The risk assessments were done, well, they were done by Stella, because she's an environmental health practitioner, but the other places like Calvary and so on, this is all in place. So I think we need a little bit more joined up working on this one. So, it's not a no never, it's be more cooperative and more information, really.
Thank you. Councillor Harewood.
Thank you, Chair. Healthbox is not actually, their offices are not in Macclesfield, so they come from a wider field. So I think one of the questions to ask them, who are the people going to eat this food? I mean, I don't know. They probably have some idea. Who will be eating the food? Is it going to be served in Macclesfield or in a wider area? Because Healthbox itself is not based in Macclesfield, it's based somewhere else. So I think that has got to be made clear. Where will they serve the food? Where will they cook the food? And who are the intended eaters, I should say, because there seems to be so much food. Who are the intended eaters of the food? I think that's basic, who's going to eat it, where they're going to cook it, and that sort of thing, because they're not actually based here, even though they work here. So if they say that it's a good idea that they are going to be in collaboration with other people here who are already doing this. So when that is all clear, I think that's a good idea. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Harewood. Just further from what you're saying, the Healthbox are part of several partnerships across the town and play a key role in that. Councillor Wilson.
Yes, and my current experience with Healthbox is through the Moss Rose Partnership, and they do absolutely excellent work across the town in terms of supporting people, providing advice, support, helping people who are lonely or disengaged, making sure that people are able to look after themselves. But I wasn't aware they provided a hot food service. They may do, I could be wrong. But so far this evening, we've looked at grants from the Hope Centre. We've agreed £2,000 and they produced 4,000 meals during lockdown. We've also looked at the Calvary Church application of £1,000 and they were providing 2,500 hot meals during lockdown. And Click Health Box is saying they provide a number of health and wellbeing services across the region, including community development, social for thriving, healthy eating, oral health and counselling. They are saying that for the grant of 1820, they are going to be providing 400 to 560 meals. It's quite a big difference in terms of the funds being requested and the meals that are going to be produced. And Councillor Bennett-Waite's correct. You know, the sort of cost of PPE and issues like that. We're not aware who the other local authority grant is from. I mean, it may work across Crewe and Macclesfield, so it may be a request to Crewe Town Council, of course. But Councillor Harewood's gone through a number of other questions that I think we do need the answer to. Certainly not averse to supporting this sort of service, but I would really like to have a bit more assurance on the items that we've all listed, and also that we were not agreeing funding to cut across an existing service. I think those are the key areas that we need answers to. And then I mean, they want you to do this during the winter, and we haven't got another meeting until March. So I wonder whether other councillors would agree with me that, provided we receive satisfaction as to the answers to these questions, that it could be left with myself and the chair to decide. I mean, to be fair, the town clerk can agree up to £3,000. So maybe it should be left with myself and Neil, chair, and the town clerk to have another look at this. And if we felt we got the answers to the questions that we're looking for, we could circulate the committee and let them know. And then if it is a winter service they want to provide, say, over the Christmas holidays for school children or something like that, it doesn't say that in the application, but that might be what it is. You know, we don't delay a decision until March. So I would like us to defer the decision, subject to satisfaction by the chair and vice chair and the town clerk, making a joint decision on going ahead. And if we have any further concerns, we'll email the committee so we can check your views as well. I think that's probably the best way forward.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson, and I'm going to second that because obviously we're being actioned to go forward with this, and I think that just to say, I think we've seen that there's potential for auxiliary support for other organisations, and I think that if we can, as well as the work that the town council itself is doing, supporting organisations. So I'll second that, and we'll take that to the vote. Councillor Harewood, do you want to speak?
Yes, I want to speak. I am not crossing that decision would have been made by the chair and vice chair. What I would like is that when that decision has been made, can we kindly have a report on how the decision has come about? Thank you.
Very good. So we'll, if we can add that as an addendum to the proposal. Okay, so we have a proposal, Councillor Wilson.
I did say in my proposal that we would do a report to the committee. I think that's required. This isn't something that I think we feel we can say yes as long as these few points are answered. I think this is something we need much more information. So what I'm suggesting is we get that information, we report back to the committee with a recommendation, but then the decision can be made under our procedures by the chair, the vice chair and the town clerk because of the amount involved. So I completely agree with what Councillor Harewood said, absolutely agree with that, and that is what I am moving.
Brilliant. Okay, all in favour? Okay. Any abstentions? Any against? Okay. That passes. Thank you very much. So we're going to go on to 8, the grant updates. To note and receive grant updates from Scoop and Scales and the Macclesfield Music Centre. Shall I pass over to Laura now, the town clerk?
Yeah, there's 2 reports. One for the Macclesfield Music Centre that did a concert, and I have also sent you a link previously that gave a lovely video of snippets of the concert, which was really good, and then an update from Scoops and Scales as well. Both are very good, uplifting updates of one, particularly the music is very uplifting. Scoops and Scales, the behavioural change, the environment. So both very positive updates. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And just to say how difficult it is for people to record individual sounds in their rooms and then put it all together to make a wonderful noise. So I think I can sometimes hear my neighbours practicing, but I believe when you put it all together, it sounds really nice. Brilliant. So we're just going to go, so that's just for notes, and then open point 9, 9, the ward budgets and the actions to review and agree ward budgets, amounts and process of application. Okay, do I have any speakers? Town clerk, please, Laura.
Yes, so I've put a report together about a proposal for ward budgets. We are aware that as councillors, you know your wards the best, and we want to give you the opportunity to work with residents with a degree of flexibility around pockets of funding that you can apply for your particular ward, and it means that each ward gets the same amount. There is some caveats within that report that if there's 2 councillors on a ward, they both have to agree, and there is a limit of £500 per item. And there'll be a short application process, so you still have to apply. It will still come to Finance Committee, but it should make the it should give people maybe the chance to have more ideas of what they can do with the residents, knowing they've got that little bit of funding put away for their ward in particular.
Thank you very much. Madam Mayor.
Yeah, I was really pleased to see this item, and we've spoken about it before. And I think it's the fairest, most equal sort of democratic way of doing things. And I think it's really good to get the community involved with the councillors and think about what's best for each ward. So thank you, and the form's really simple to fill in.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Any other speakers? Councillor Wilson.
Yes, I think it's an excellent idea, and it will give ward councillors the chance to discuss within their communities improvements that could be made. It also requires both councillors to agree. It requires there to be a maximum spend of 500. I think this will really help with getting funds into the community. We do have small applications coming forward, communities wanting to take some sort of action, often around pocket parks and improving the public realm, and you know, making the living environment very, very pleasant. And I think we all have things we want to do in our own communities. And ordinarily, if we have a process like this, it means it's fairly distributed. The funds are fairly distributed across the whole of the borough, and I think that's a really, really good way of doing it. So we can work with our communities and residents to enhance our wards. So I do support this process, which will come to the Finance Committee. It's still got to be approved and everything. It just means that we can talk with our communities about how to allocate reserves if you want funds, if you want to improve something in our wards.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wilson. Councillor Harewood.
Oh, I was just going to say that's ongoing. I'm glad for that ongoing business within with residents who will agree. I'm very grateful because we know, especially the estates, not I have anything against the town centre, but we know the estates have been not as hot to get things done, and we have pockets where there are special places of deprivation, and I'm just grateful. Thank you. I'm just grateful.
Thank you, Councillor Harewood. And Councillor Hutchison.
Yeah, I just think it's a great opportunity to increase communication within the ward. You know, it's since I became a councillor in late June, early July, it's that's been the great difficulty. You know, obviously COVID has to help that, but to have the opportunity to be able to communicate, especially as we come out of this this crisis, then and get people involved who normally wouldn't feel maybe a little bit disenfranchised, to give them an opportunity to express opinions would be great. You know, the local neighbourhood groups have been a good source for me to get feedback from people who live in on the Western particularly, and you know, they're not short of good ideas. So it'd be great to see some of those come to fruition through these grants.
Absolutely. I would echo that myself and say that local knowledge is absolutely key in the working of a good town council, and particularly this town council, because as Councillor Hutchinson says, we have some very talented people with, you know, who we need responsive ways to make our communities better, and who better to do it than the people that use those services, that know their areas and can contribute in that way. And you know, so the what our councillors are doing is really very positive like that. And I believe that it becomes, I mean, in my experience across 2 councils, you see an innovation and it gets in one ward and it gets used in another ward. So there's all sorts of opportunities here for us to develop across the whole town. So if we can take that to a vote. Okay, can I say all in favour? Okay, anybody against or abstentions? Councillor Harewood? Sorry, what's it?
I have voted in favour, sorry.
Thank you. Sorry, perhaps I didn't see. Thank you very much. Okay, so on to the next item. So building on what we've just been doing with item 9, item 10, to review and agree micro grants, amounts and process of application. Okay, thank you. Laura, thank you.
Yes, the micro grants is a new idea of a grant programme. It's up to £100 only, so it's low risk, and it's to help groups or people who've got an idea but they are not part of a constituted group or have a bank account, which is what we ask for our bigger grants. So it could be an individual or an informal group of people coming together to do something, which could be, you know, like we were saying, something outdoors, or setting up a little group, a book group or whatever. And it might be that they go on to become a constituted group and then can move to get other funding. So it's just really to give that spark of ideas, a little bit of a backup of a bit of, you know, town council support and a little bit of money to see if any of those little sparks turn into a really great idea. The process is it's in there, and it's quite there's a quick turnaround. We don't want people to potentially have to wait a long time, so we've put a decision-making process in, which is that they need an agreement from the chair of finance, the vice chair, the ward councillor or councillors where the activity will take place, and the town clerk or the events and community manager. We can do all this by email, and if we get agreements from all of that, it can be decided and given out, but finance committee will get a list of all the ones that have been agreed by that process. It just means people aren't waiting for 2-3 months in order to get that bit of support.
Thank you, Laura. And just to confirm, if I may as well, that again, it's all about very simple forms, like, you know, a very, you know, nothing that's going to make it a barrier to people applying. I think you know, as we go forward, this council should support the idea of you know, being dyslexia friendly, championing legibility. So a simple form with a quick turnaround is in my opinion a great way to be responsive and to see good things in the community, but also with the backup and of the finance committee approval. I think it's a really great scheme. Got any other comments, please? Madam Mayor?
Sorry for talking on every item, but when I read this, I sort of squealed with delight to myself, because this is democracy at its best. We might be the first tier of democracy, but this is what it's about. This is including every single person in our communities to be able to go out and do something innovative. And it also brings communities, you know, it ties in with the kindness about bringing communities together, post-COVID recovery, what can we do together as a community? How can we support each other? So, you know, it's something as simple as a sewing or a knitting club, like Laura said, a boot club, a little, you know, a window box somewhere in a sheltered accommodation. It can be anything, and as creative as possible. And you'd be surprised what people come up with. And there's a lot of people don't have bank accounts. As we said before, there's a lot of people that don't have the internet or those devices to even use the internet. And this includes everybody. And I feel so proud to be part of a council that's coming up with these fantastic ideas. So I would definitely move this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Oh, Councillor Wilson, if you want to speak.
Yes, I'm very happy to second the proposal for the micro grant scheme, and very much like Councillor Bennett Wake, I feel how important this is to connect in with our communities. I'm really proud to be a town councillor because it's the most local form of democracy, where we work with the people in our communities, where we can listen every day to the concerns of individuals, and this grant scheme gives us a real chance to respond to great ideas. You know, we're not talking about huge amounts of money. We're talking about empowering the community to get together and make changes and improve the environment, or do something to help community activity and spirit. And I just think this is it's actually such a great idea to come forward in this current COVID times as well, because you know, we talk about digital exclusion and other exclusions, but a lot of people are financially excluded as well because they don't have a bank account or the ability to have funds paid over. And this is something that we can do at the most grassroots level to really help in supporting our communities. So I'm more than happy to second this proposal. I want to thank the town clerk for coming forward with the idea as well, because I think this is something that it's a really good response to a massive need at the moment, and I'm very happy to second the motion.
Brilliant. So we'll take it to a vote if everyone's okay. Okay, all in favour? That's unanimous yet again. Wonderful. Okay, so on to item 11, the 2021-22 budget setting, to review and agree the budget for 2021-22. I believe Laura, the town clerk, would like to begin. That's okay.
Yes, I'm just getting my notes. So I have been working since Services Committee, and since I've had feedback from various councillors on what our budget might look like, and I have updated with in consultation with some of the councillors that have got back to me. So I'll give a verbal update for you. So what we're looking at is we have £100,000 in the current budget for a community transport initiative, which because of COVID, we've not been able to spend. So we're proposing that is moved to earmarked reserves, which means it will be in our reserves marked up to be spent on that project, showing our commitment on going to that project. We will also move £40,000 across for a conservation area review and a character assessment, which again has been delayed. It's in the process, but it has been delayed. We may not pay it out this year. We're looking to carry over a further approximately 3% underspend from this year to next year, which we will then carry over to have civic awards that we haven't been able to have this year, to have them next year. We are going to carry some over for remembrance because we didn't have a public remembrance this year. So we want to have something to give back to the town for next year, because we know that many people missed it this year. We will move some from the projects and event budget that we've not spent this year over. And we have set up a COVID recovery fund, which, because we still think there will be issues with COVID, and there's various things that, you know, that might be more grants as needed, or things as we get back to normal that we don't know we need yet when we go back to normal. So we've created a little fund there. So the budget itself, there is an increase in staffing and we have applied for funding for 2 kickstart posts, which will mean that we will be employing 2 young people at the town hall to help us, and also to give them a great opportunity of a fantastic place to work and work experience. We hope one to be a junior ranger, an outdoor post, and one to be an office administrator. We have talked about ward budgets, so we are putting in the ward budgets. We've talked there'll be a new COVID fund, which I've just mentioned. We're looking to provide a service level agreement for the voluntary sector. So we're looking to get some bespoke help for our local voluntary sector Macclesfield groups. For instance, when we were saying about filling forms in and everything, we want to be able to have that kind of support, or, that we can help people fill in forms. We can help once we agree to give a grant to people, any ongoing support to create sustainability, resilience. So we're looking for an organisation to help us do that. And to be very clear, we will still be making the decisions on the grant making process. This service level agreement will be just to help the groups grow or be more resilient or do other things, like we talked about, bringing collaboration and people coming together. That's really what we want for our voluntary sector. We've looked at putting an increase in for the Citizens Advice Bureau, because they have had huge amounts of increase during the COVID pandemic. So, and we're looking to increase our rangers to have a 3rd ranger. And this will mean we don't have to pay for a seasonal ranger or plant watering, but also this extra ranger, we hope will be able to help with our allotments, which we are busy transforming and getting let out, but also help with repairs around where we can repair things. We want to do it rather than buy new. An example is recently our rangers have repaired lots of benches and painting them up. So we want to do more repairs and freshening up the town, which we have had great feedback on. So all of this would result in an increase in the precept, and that would equate to a £2.20 increase per bandy household. So that is the proposal as it stands. I know there's a lot to take in there, and it will also be going to full council as well. But if anybody has any questions, please go ahead.
Thank you. Councillor Harewood has a question or statement?
A question and statement. Will this be like an apprenticeship? How long will it last? Where will the applications go? To whom are you applying for these? And how wide, I dare say it may be local, I'm not saying, I don't know. How wide will the applications be? Where are the applications going? For how long will it last? Is it permanent, or do you see a permanence there, or a rotation? Either permanence or a rotation. So those are like 4 questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Clark?
So the Kickstart programme is a government initiative which gives you funding to employ young people who are on universal credit for 6 months. And it allows them that it comes with some extra funding for potentially training or other bits and pieces for them. So in the first instance, we would be, the funding's open for a year. So we would, in an ideal world, we will be able to get the funding and employ people to start in January. That might be being a bit optimistic right now. But what would happen then is they would work with us for 6 months, and then we could potentially have another 2 in 6 months and another 2 in 6 months, because we'd fit in 3. Or if we had more, we could employ more. So we would initially be looking at 6-month paid placements. What I would say, if somebody, and I always say this wherever I've worked, if we come across somebody who's amazing, we're not going to want to lose them. So, I think it being open-minded, we need to employ people to help us deliver the strategy. But I think initially it would be looking at the 6-month placements and just giving people a really good opportunity to and being able to give people references. You know, a reference from Macclesfield Town Council is going to mean a lot to some young people and a great experience. So that's how it would work, and it would be funded by the government.
Thank you. Councillor Harewood, would you like to speak? Oh. Sorry, you have to switch on your microphone, please, Airlift.
Wondering where the references will come from, but that will be taken up by another, where will these young people come from?
What we'll do is we are working with a organisation called Tourist Foundation,
Okay.
who are basically, in order to apply directly to the DWP, you have to be taking on 30 or more. So when you're taking on 2, you have to amalgamate with a lot of other organisations who are taking on 1 or 2, and tourists are an intermediate. So they will get the funding for us, give it back to us. We will be in charge of recruitment, but we will work with the local job centre, because we need to make it needs to be people on universal credit we're taking on. They need to be universal credit claimants. You can't just take on any young person. They have to be universal credit claimants. So we will work with the local job centre to so that we get appropriate people sent to us, and we will do our own recruitment.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson, you wanted to speak?
I was just putting my hand up to assist with the questions from Councillor Harewood, but I think I would like to make some comments on the budget at the same time. I'm delighted that we're going to be able to employ young people on the government Kickstart funding programme. I think this is a really important part of our work, to be able to support young people to work, particularly in this current difficult time. Young people's work has been hit very severely. We are going to be able to use the funding from the government to make sure that the young people we employ will get the full adult rate of the minimum wage. We're not talking about paying the 18-year-old rate or selling people short. The young people will be doing the same work as anybody who was over 25. And so I think it's great we've got the ambition to make sure that we both pay young people appropriately, that's the rate for the job, and that we also are able to support young people with training. I think in terms of the junior ranger working outdoors, I envisage we could do that relatively quickly because of the outdoor element, and I think that's great because the public realm work is so important. The constant thing I get as a councillor, where people say nice things about the council, which is very refreshing, is how much they like the public realm improvements. We get that both in our wards, and we get that through people sending in emails to the town hall. And I think the public realm improvements and the work we've done that Adrian and Shane and the new ranger will do will really enhance Macclesfield, and we really do need to attract people back to the town centre. And a lot of the work we'll be doing here will help towards our recovery programme. So I think it's great we can take up the Kickstart funding. I think that it's correct that we do earmark some reserves for projects that we've not been able to realise this year. In terms of the budget for the community bus, these are all things we couldn't realise because of COVID. It's not because we haven't been getting on with it, it's because we have had to divert our attention to dealing with other matters. In terms of the conservation area review, we now have had applications in to help us work with that review, consultants to help work with that review, property people with experience in producing conservation area reviews and character assessments. And we had a number of applications that are now going through the tender process. So they're making good progress with that, and it is hoped that we might actually get that work done this financial year. But some things are going slower than you would hope. The budget includes an increase in staffing resources to enable us to realise the ambitious strategy we have. And I think apart from the innovative staffing situation where we're making sure we're taking on staff to help us with the work that we need to do, we are bringing forward some really new innovative ideas as a town council. We've talked about some of those this evening: the introduction of the ward budgets, the introduction of the small grant, the COVID fund. One of the things we were very nimble when COVID first hit, and we were able to give donations to all our ward organisations very, very quickly, and we've supported both the ward organisations and the East Cheshire Hospice to the tune of £32,000. We were able to give immediate support to the most vulnerable, and I'm really proud we were able to do that. And I'm also proud that we were able to work with a local filmmaker to make 7 videos about the contributions made by those ward organisations. It was all over social media, it's been shared everywhere. So it was a good communications exercise for us as well, to let people know what we're doing. I think that the precept increase of 18 pence per month, we're going to do all this for an extra 18 pence per month. So I think that is something to be really proud of, because we're certainly getting value for our money because of the way we are working within the community. In terms of the carryover of the 3% of underspend, I do want to make some specific proposals about those, but at this moment I'll just make a general comment, and then, Chair, I'd like to give notice I've got a couple of things I want to move specific proposals to go to full council on the civic awards and also the remembrance budget. But I'll wait and hear if anybody's got any general comments to make, but then I want to speak about those 2 items specifically, please.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Wilson. So I'll also echo. Excuse me. I'll echo what Councillor Wilson was saying there. That we're working smart. Perhaps not like me with my foot there, but in several ways we see how we're working smart as an organisation. So particularly the support for the voluntary sector to enable some of these brilliant organisations that have stepped up during the crisis to continue with capacity, where we actually see incredible amounts of demand on the Citizens Advice Bureau and other organisations that need the support now. So it's a £10,000 increase for that, but I would say with the workload and what they're doing there, it's very valid to see that. But also about making sense of central government initiatives with Kickstart. When they say with Kickstart it's for 30 employees, that doesn't work for most small organisations or businesses. So we're finding a way to make that work for the businesses and for the community of Macclesfield. So I'm very pleased to see that, and that's us working smart again. Equally, with the conservation review, we're actually it's also a case of being efficient with money, and this is not wasteful. These are schemes that are going to really improve our town and help people in it. So yeah, just further to what was said there. So that's my general points. I don't know if anyone else has got any other general observations. Okay, Councillor Wilson, if you'd like to go into the specifics.
Yeah, there's just 2 areas I think I'd like us to make a specific recommendation to full council in December. First of all is about the civic awards that couldn't take place this year due to COVID. We are carrying forward some funds to deal with this, because there'll be 2 civic award ceremonies this year because of the COVID situation. So we are carrying forward £3,000 into the budget. I have 2 civic award ceremonies this year. Now, we haven't got a view yet how we're going to do that, because we're still in lockdown as we sit here now. We're going into tier 2 next week, and then hopefully later in December there'll be another review of that. But public safety has to come first. So I would like to move that at the end of March 2021, any funds that are not spent on the civic awards ceremonies should be given to the Mayor's Charity Fund, because I think that that would be a very responsible thing to do. The Mayor every year does excellent fundraising activity, and Sarah's taken a whole, Councillor Bainwaite's taken a whole new approach to the charity fundraising for her two charities, Seals and Create. But I think that it will be a really appropriate gesture for full council to allocate any unused funds for the civic ceremonies to go to the Mayor's charities, and I'd like to move that.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, would you like to speak about your charities quickly? We'll give them a big shout out.
Yeah. Can I just say thank you to Councillor Wilson for that incredibly kind proposal. The charities are Create. Now Create do everything. They do groceries, they do food bank, they do Project Grow, we grow veggies, they help young people, they train people, they employ local people, they do everything you can think of. Get on the website and have a look. And I've also got a Christmas tree in the garden that's not quite made its way to the living room yet. And also Macclesfield Seals Disability Swimming Group have been going for 63 years. That's before the Equality Act, before the Disability Discrimination Act. An absolutely amazing group of people, and they have so much fun. I attended their AGM on Saturday and we still had a lot of fun. I didn't realise that Wendy's daughter had such a beautiful voice, and she sang all the way through the entertainment. And they are a fantastic group of people, and they're really generally only funded by friends and family. So I had to include them as one of the Mayor's charities. But as I say, Create help Macclesfield residents across every ward. They've helped with the food during lockdown, and everybody's included in the Seals, and they can't wait to get back in the pool. So thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We need a seconder. I suppose that's a seconding type of sorts. Okay, take that to a vote. So Councillor Wilson's proposal, all in favour? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, do we have any further comments?
Yes, I've got a second proposal, Chair, which is on a similar sort of basis to the one I've just made, and that's about the remembrance budget. We have £6,000 this year in our remembrance budget, but you'll all be aware that we weren't able to have the remembrance event that we had planned because of COVID. I think that again we should make a similar arrangement. I think we haven't yet signed any. The costs haven't come through for the remembrance event because obviously there's a lag on paying things like that. But I think it's going to be about £1,000 for the remembrance this year. And so we should carry forward 3,000 of that for the remembrance event next year, because next year is the 100th birthday of the Royal British Legion. It would be very fitting to have, subject to the fact we're able to do so, but hopefully by November next year we'll be able to have a much bigger event to particularly celebrate the 100th birthday. And again, I think any remainder, which will probably be around the £2,000 mark, we should make a grant to the Royal British Legion in Macclesfield. The poppy collection goes to the Royal British Legion nationally for all the really important work they do. But I think we should make the grant to the Royal British Legion in Macclesfield for the funds that are left over. So I'm moving with, if you like, a sort of another recommendation to full council about a slightly different way of treating that budget. That we meet the bills this year, we carry forward some for next year for an extra special 100th birthday celebration, but we do in fact give the remainder, which would be around about £2,000 to the Royal British Legion here in Macclesfield, because they give us excellent support at the time of the of remembrance. And of course their representatives were working with us as councillors and putting poppies all around Macclesfield, which again got really, really good positive feedback. So I'd like to make a specific recommendation to full council about the remembrance budget as well, please, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson, and I would second that, certainly with the important sort of heritage that Macclesfield Legion has as well, particularly with the Cheshire Regiment and a number of people, but also the great work they do helping veterans in all sorts of ways. I support that. Councillor Bennett-Wake, Madam Mayor.
I would definitely support that, because it was one of the big issues that come up, because even though we were abiding by the COVID guidelines, people were very upset that they couldn't celebrate remembrance in the way that they would do at the cenotaph and so on. There were a few people there, but not crowds. And the lads and the lasses of the Royal British Legion, they put an awful lot of effort into it, you know, and they're just working class people who've done a job for their country, and you know that means a lot. And you know, Peter Lake, he went round, put the poppies up. They even asked me to a funeral this year, which was a real honour. You know, they do a lot, and it means a lot. And when you walk down streets in Macclesfield and you see poppies in the windows, you can see how many, it's streets full of families have lost their loved ones to war, basically because they're young working class people who were signed up. So I think it's quite right that we honour that. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Should we go to a vote on that proposal for a recommendation to council? Okay, all in favour? Thank you. Very good. Do we have any additional comments or proposals for recommendations? Okay, we'll go to item 12 for online banking.
Sorry, Chair. I think for good order, I'm happy to, as Deputy, as Vice Chair of the committee, to move that we recommend this budget now as our final budget to full council in December. The budget process does engage us all as councillors in giving feedback. We do a full consultation, as you know, the beginning of the four-year civic period, and we do a full consultation at the end of that four-year civic period as part of our budget consultation. But I know we've all been talking to our own residents about this. It's certainly something that I've been engaging with residents in Macclesfield South, talking about all the positive things that we're doing, particularly when we get feedback from organisations in our wards who we're working with to really as part of the COVID effort. And so I think that we've discussed it now at various committees. This is the final discussion at this finance committee, and I therefore move that this budget is now approved by this finance committee and recommended to full council.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Wilson. And I will second that and take it to the vote. All in favour? Thank you very much. It's unanimous. Okay, very good. Thank you for that. Item 12, online banking, to review and agree procedure for online banking payments. Over to Laura.
So basically, this is a procedure that's written in advance of us getting online banking, because it's not going to happen and immediately because of giving ID to the bank, etc. So I'm getting all our books lined up, so to speak, to be ready. So this is the procedure that I propose when we do go for online banking. It will also go to full council. I have passed it by our internal auditor. And so, yeah, it's just to basically, are you happy with it, or any amendments you think? And when we get online banking, we'll come back to the committee just to make sure, you know, that all that process again is in place. Does that explain it? I feel like I didn't explain that very well, but
Councillor Wilson.
No, I think you explained it absolutely fine. This process will sit alongside our current process. So we're not changing the process for authorising payments. We're just working for a system to make it easier for us to do that. We have 3 people to sign any check for the council. So there's scrutiny, and we are also audited. But it has been quite difficult in the COVID times to get all the checks signed. You know, when we were in full lockdown, it was really a question of everything had to go into quarantine for days and things like that. And it's something that I feel very proud of, that as a town council, not only do we engage with local people when we need services, whenever we possibly can, but we pay those local people as quickly as possible after they've done the work for us. You know, it's not appropriate to delay payments. You know, we should never be doing that. So this internet banking policy is designed to fit around our process, where 3 people sign, 2 councillors and the town clerk will sign off payments. But when you come to internet banking, I know from my previous history as a finance sector employee, no banks offer internet banking where 3 people sign. You know, we need to go to a system where 2 people sign. So this system outlines how we're going to use our current system for 3 people to authorise to be able to pay on 2 people on internet banking. And so it meets in with the appropriate regulations we are required to follow. It fits in with the guidance of the Good Councillor's Guide to Finance and Transparency, and it's going to enable us to make payments much more easily, particularly as we're now in completely changed times where getting 3 people together to sign a cheque would be called a party and would be illegal.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. And I just note, during the beginning of lockdown, disinfected checkbooks, very problematic. Leaving them on garden walls for people to take. Some very difficult procedures. So, would anybody else like to speak? Councillor Bennett-Wake, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, just to say that brings back memories of the former town clerk bringing them round to my backyard and stepping away from the box. It will bring the mayor into the 21st century, doing online banking. So it'll be a lot quicker than the checks.
As an aside, I'm never going to forget the former town clerk bringing me some gloves to sign the check. which is so much like washing up gloves. I couldn't even hold the pen, let alone sign the check.
Okay, do we we need a vote, a proposal on that? Okay, and so we just 1 minute. I haven't quite had my tea yet, so should we take that to the vote? Yeah, okay, all in favour? Thank you very much. There we go. And okay, so spend to date to note, list of authorised payments reconciled with the bank statement to approve the spend to date end of October for £423,503 for recommendation to council. So do I have a proposal for that to approve? Thank you, Councillor Wilson. I will second that to take to recommendation to the full council. Okay, all in favour of that? Thank you very much. Okay, so Laura, do we have any members' items?
No, but can we just note the list of payments as well? There was
Sorry,
the list of payments.
Part 1.
Yeah,
Slightly different format today. Yes, if we could do that. So I'll propose that from seeing it. Okay, seconded by Councillor Wilson. All in favour, please. Thank you. Right, that's unanimous. Okay, there we go. So item 14, members' items. I believe we don't have any. No, thank you very much. Which leads to just the so I'm going to get my dinner on in a minute. So it leads to the last item, date and time and place of the next meeting. So the date of the next meeting for the Finance Committee is 7 p.m. 15th of March 2021, and format and venue to be confirmed, subject to COVID-19 restrictions and regulations. So I hope you all have a lovely evening, and as we start the build up towards Christmas, and great to see everybody. Speak to you soon. Okay, speak soon.
thank you, Chair.
Bye.